There's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
Hello guys, hope you're going well. We are talking Oscars, and this year I am barely scraping in to rank you all the Oscar Best Picture nominations. I did this same exact video last year and it was one of my most popular and also most debated videos. So of course I wanted to bring it back again for you this year. I usually start with the disclaimer that none of these movies are the worst, you know, despite this being a best to worst ranking list. All of these movies, you know, I wasn't surprised to see any of these 8 films nominated this year, except perhaps to see our first superhero movie and our first foreign language film nominated in this category, which is pretty impressive. I have to say, it feels like the Oscars are changing with the times, and that's definitely not a bad thing. So once again, none of these films I feel don't deserve to be here. So while I definitely have a very clear ranking from movies 1 through 8, which I prefer, none of these don't deserve to be nominated, aren't good in their own right for different reasons. And so that being said, I'm gonna give it to you straight, exactly how I see it. Let's dive in. Okay. We're gonna metaphorically roll up our sleeves. I'm literally rolling up my sleeves. I'm gonna start with my favorite movie of the whole year at number 1. My favorite movie this year was The Favourite. My favorite movie was The Favourite. How perfectly aligned is that? It was all my favorite genres combined, which is period films and like comical, satirical, black comedies, all in one movie. The performances of Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz, Emma Stone were so outstanding, following the story of Queen Anne, the eccentric Queen Anne, and her relationships with the ladies around her. This film, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, don't at me on my pronunciation. With a total of 10 nominations, I think this film is so deserving. I adored it. I adored it so much. I don't think it's actually going to win as many awards as I originally thought it would. A few months ago, if you'd asked me, I would have said this would have swept the board clean and picked up everything, but now I'm having serious doubts that it's going to. But nonetheless, this was certainly my particular favorite of the year. I loved it. Number 2, my next and almost equal favorite film was the black and white Spanish language film Roma, directed by Alfonso Cuarón and written by him and produced by him and photographed by him. This film also has 10 nominations, equal to The Favourite, and I think this is the movie that's going to sweep the board clean without a doubt. It's Netflix release, which I know did kind of make some of the more like traditional Hollywood elitist people feel a little bit iffy, but I don't think that that's going to harm the film at all. I loved it so much. I've only seen it the one time, and I did watch it on my laptop on Netflix, so apologies for that I did not have an opportunity to go see it in cinemas. It's actually screening in cinemas still, so I should really go and see it on the big screen because I think it's well worth it. I'm telling you now, I'm going to do my Oscar predictions, but I'm telling you right here, right now, that Roma is going to win Best Picture and Cuarón is also going to win Best Director. For sure, you heard it here first. So we're starting it off on a high note. The Favourite and Roma. If you want to see my full reviews on those, I will leave links. You can see me gush over how much I love those movies more. But let's move on. We're going down the list towards the worst, right? We're going onwards towards the movies I like the least and don't really understand why they're here. Like I do, they're crowd pleasers, they're Oscar baity, but also boring. Next up is the movie that Oscar tried to make an entire category just to please the greater masses over, and that was Best Popular Film. And in that category, leading the race would have been Black Panther, directed by Ryan Coogler, and Marvel's 18th installment into the MCU. This is our first superhero movie we've ever seen nominated in the Best Picture category, because Best Popular Film, that was booed out really quickly. So Black Panther had nowhere else to go but to live, rightly so, in the Best Picture category, and I do think it deserves to be here. Just because it's a big action superhero blockbuster does not mean it does not deserve to be treated like any other piece of cinema. And I think that this film, while I preferred the Avengers movie a little bit more. Just saying, Black Panther was so well executed with really well-rounded characters, a great villain, a great origin story arc, not to mention all our Black Afrofuturism and world building and music and all that kind of great stuff about this movie. So Black Panther, so good. I'm so glad it's here. Also, it is awesome to see a Black-centric or Black-led film where the Blackness has nothing necessarily to do with the film. So there's no greater societal race relation issues going on. You know, it's just Black and that's incidental. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? We're going to get into the other Black films and their social implications. Let's keep going. If those first three were all A grade films, now we're moving into my B grade. Next up, it is A Star Is Born. This is the story we've seen remade again and again. Bradley Cooper's directorial debut starring Lady Gaga, who people keep forgetting the girl can act, which is probably why she's been nominated here in the Best Actress category. Not saying she's not great, but just saying people keep loving to give her awards for acting because they forget that she's like the triple threat and she can sing and dance and also act. The rising starlet who is discovered and discovers herself and the love and inspiration of her life, who is drug addicted and bringing her down. It's the, what do you call it? The unrequited love story. And Bradley Cooper and Gaga are they're greatly cast in this and their chemistry is undeniable on screen. Their on-screen chemistry is what makes this film something different. Otherwise, I would say it's a film we've seen done and retrodden again and again, and it's time to maybe put it to rest. But nonetheless, I do think A Star Is Born is really expertly done, and because of that, I'm not sick of seeing this subject material when it's done with great performances. Not to mention The Shallows, or is it just Shallow, that song, which is definitely going to win Best Song at the Oscars for sure. It's all over the radio, blasting everywhere, and I still cannot get it out of my head. All right, we're past the halfway mark here. Next up, it is BLACKKKLANSMAN, directed by Spike Lee, and this is set in the 70s, trying to dig apart at the core of racist America at this time. I enjoyed the undercurrent of what this movie is trying to do so much. I find the irony deeply, deeply satisfying as this African-American officer played by John David Washington is trying to infiltrate the Ku Klux Klan by using a white sort of like body double as in Adam Driver, and it's pretty funny and satirical. I liked so much like the joke of that, the comedy in that, but then as the film progresses, it kind of fell apart a little bit for me as it got a bit melodramatic and kind of lost its way, I felt. It's almost like Spike Lee didn't trust the audience would get what he was trying to say, and so it does go a bit ham-fisted with its messaging, and I felt like it could have been more impactful if it went a different direction. Entering now our next and final C grade category, I would have to put Green Book at number, what am I up to now? Number 6 is Green Book, directed by Peter Farrelly. This one has got a lot of controversy, especially lately, which could really harm its chances at the Oscars. I think that while it's also similarly to BLACKKKLANSMAN, set in a 60s deep South America and a bit of a buddy comedy, dramedy, road trip movie with Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, who will definitely, as a side note, win Best Supporting Actor. That's in the bag, locked and loaded. It's whimsically nostalgic, but it's also a film that feels very out of touch with where our society is right now in today's day and age. So while it is set in a different era, the filmmaking style is a little bit rose-tinted nostalgia. It kind of suggests the difficulties of race relations at that time in America, but it doesn't get right in there and bring a little bit more, what am I trying to say? It doesn't bring any depth to it. It's Oscar baity, it's cookie cutter, it's really easy. It's a film that my mum and my grandma especially, would definitely love this movie. And you know what? I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all, but I really hope it does not win Best Picture this year. I really hope, because there is a very real possibility that it will. You might be surprised with how I'm going to rank these final 2 films in the Best Picture category. Next up, I'm going to give you Bohemian Rhapsody, the story of how Queen came together and of Freddie Mercury, starring Rami Malek, who also has a very real possibility that he will win. I'm not sure, will I pick him to win for Best Actor? I do like his portrayal of Freddie Mercury. Like, I didn't love it, but I did like it, and his performance as Mercury is the one and only saving grace. Well, apart, of course, from the Killer Queen soundtrack, like, obviously. Malek's performance is like, he's trying really, really hard, and he does nail it, but it does never feel effortless, if that makes sense. As a coherent movie itself, apart from the fact that the director, Bryan Singer, he who shall not be named and shall not be discussed by me, was booted unceremoniously off the project. So it does feel like it has a few hands involved in the story. It's a little bit mismatched, a little bit all over the place, very vignette feeling as opposed to one coherent story. And for that, I feel like it comes across as a TV movie. Not a TV movie in a good way, not like a Netflix TV movie with a huge budget, which is the way of TV movies, how they're going, but an old Lifetime TV movie. It pretty much takes all those milestone anthems, which we love, and backwards engineers origin stories to each of the songs and to how the band, you know, came together in the most bland PG way imaginable. So I was not impressed at all. Love the soundtrack. Thought the Live Aid concert section of it was really fun, but as a coherent film, I was not about this movie at all. This brings us to the end. It's no secret now. The film that I thought was the worst, which could have easily been Bohemian Rhapsody, like Bohemian Rhapsody and Vice, which I'm listing as my worst film at number 8. These films could be interchangeable easily, but the reason that I disliked Vice the most is I just did not get the tone of this story, and it left me feeling very cold, and not in like a eerie way, despondent way of the nature of politics, but just cold and unmoved. This is the story of Dick Cheney in the White House, pulling all those strings and greed and power, and how he got behind George W. Bush, especially how he infiltrated the administration, becoming VP. I mean, it's American politics. It's very complicated and not a subject that I find easily accessible to begin with, let's just say. But Adam McKay, the director, I have not been a fan of his work in the past. The Big Short, I could not stand. I don't know why that one was nominated for Best Picture a couple years ago. I did not like that at all. What I will commend Adam McKay for doing with his films is trying to break out of the mold. He likes to break the fourth wall with certain elements like credits midway through the film and fourth wall sort of narration, on the nose narration, and that's interesting. I do appreciate, you know, stylistically him trying to break through in a different way and do something completely out of the box. But as a movie as a whole, I did not like Vice. Christian Bale's performance as Dick Cheney was fine. I thought, I mean, does he really need to win Best Actor just because he put on so much weight for the role and looks hella ugly? I don't really think so. I get it, really great hair and makeup. He put on a whole bunch of kgs, but the acting is just a lot of menacing breathing, like sucking in air through the teeth, and I didn't think it was anything special. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. There you have it. I have ranked for you my favorite to my least favorite, my best to worst movies from all that's been nominated this year in the Best Picture category at the 91st Academy Awards. Guys, what do you think? Do you agree with how I have ranked the movies this year? I'd love to know what you think. Make sure you leave me your best to worst in the comment section down below. Let's debate, let's discuss. This is what we did last year, and the comment section got super heated. It was actually a whole lot of fun. Stay tuned as well, guys. I will be putting together my ballot for the Oscar predictions, who I think is going to win. Sometimes I do okay some years, but nonetheless, I do think it's really fun, and I always do my predictions every year. So I've got a few days left to scramble and put these together for you, so keep an eye out for those. Don't forget, guys, you can also subscribe to my channel here and keep up to date with all things movies and TV. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.